Once upon a time, it was said that if an object is cherished by someone for long enough, a soul will come to dwell within it. But what about those objects that are thrown away and abandoned for a long time? What lies hidden within them? In a prosperous and developed metropolis, there are people who easily discard items, even if they've only been used once or twice. Amidst that place, there was a boy who secretly sneaked into the trash heap in the heart of the city, diligently rummaging to find something. Immediately after, the guards spotted him and instantly used weapons to chase him down. With agile movements, he quickly dodged the hail of bullets, though he still suffered a small graze on his arm before escaping. Allow me to call him the Smiley Kid. Rudo. The country where Rudo lives is divided into two areas: the luxurious heaven sphere for the upper class, and the slums for the poor, where he was born and raised. The fact that the Smiley Kid frequently steals discarded items just to make ends meet is an open secret to the people here. However, everyone envies and hates him, claiming his actions make the whole district lose face. This slum was originally a place for detaining criminals in the past, and the current residents are their descendants. They try to live decently each day, hoping to change the way those on the other side of the wall look at them. Because of this, Rudo, the son of a murderer, became a thorn in everyone's side. While he was sitting and fixing up a pile of old stuff, the neighborhood brats came over to tease him for being smelly. Look at them, they are just as dirty, yet they act high and mighty judging others. But when they accidentally insulted his parents, Rudo's eyes suddenly glared, causing the whole group to flee in fear. Amidst that crowd of people who looked down on him, there was still one girl who always treated Rudo well. And that was Chiwa. She is also the person he has a secret crush on. Just when Rudo intended to give her a small gift, Chiwa's mother appeared and called her home. So unlucky, truly bad luck. Returning home, Rudo lives with his foster father Recto. Years ago, when he was abandoned with ugly scars on his arms and contemptuous looks from the world, it was Recto who reached out to save him. He gave him a pair of gloves, adopted him as a son, and taught him how to live honestly. Recto used to say that around here, the crime of stealing or killing means being thrown down to a place called the abyss. How, my son. He also often teased him, saying if he likes that little Chiwa, he better make a move quickly. Be slow and she follows some other guy and you'll be left crying. And so, in that small house, every day was filled with laughter. But no one expected that those peaceful times would be so short-lived. The next morning, Recto was teaching Rudo how to smile. But the trouble is, this kid's facial muscles are as hard as rock. Smiling is harder for him than climbing to the sky. Through his narration, we learn that the abyss is a giant garbage dump where the city discards everything, both trash and criminal humans. Rudo's biological father was likely thrown down there long ago too. Gathering all his courage, finally, Rudo brought the doll he repaired himself to gift to Chiwa and confessed his feelings to her. She accepted, and he was as happy as if it were New Year's, excitedly running back to show off to Uncle Recto. But as soon as he opened the door, a horrific scene lay before his eyes. Recto had been killed by a masked figure. Rudo tried to rush in to stop it but was beaten and critically injured. He only managed to see the perpetrator nonchalantly leave. In his final breath, Uncle Recto could only say one sentence. Before Rudo could understand what happened, soldiers stormed in. He screamed and explained, but no one listened. They pinned the crime of murder on him. Even Chiwa, the person he loved, believed that Rudo was the killer. Bound and suspended, waiting to be thrown into the abyss, Rudo knew only resentment. In his eyes now, the world was nothing but a pile of trash. One day, he himself would take revenge on them all with his own hands. And then he fell into the abyss. But strangely enough, he was still alive. And in front of him was a giant trash monster, marking the beginning of his journey at the end of the world. Episode 2. As soon as he woke up, he tried to flee while being chased by not one, but 3 giant monsters. However, the air here was heavily polluted. Ahead was nothing but trash piled up everywhere. Every step he took was enough to make him cough up blood. There was nowhere safe. In the moment when death seemed imminent, the image of Uncle Recto suddenly surged in his mind, awakening a potential power from deep within him. The gloves emitted strange sparks of red energy. He grabbed a nearby iron bar and easily knocked the head off the first beast. A stranger watching from afar witnessed this entire scene. The Smiley Kid used up all his strength with his extraordinary physical ability. But by the time only one was left, he was exhausted. At that very moment, a stranger with an old umbrella appeared, landing a kick on the kid and then putting a gas mask on him. Hey now, just because you put a mask on me doesn't give you the right to kick me. That hurt like hell. The truth is gradually revealed. The trash here is dumped by heaven, which is Rudo's old home. Those giant monsters are called trash beasts, born from that very pile of garbage. They are extremely sensitive to human sound. And since the smiley kid was asking too many questions earlier, asking non-stop, they swarmed in like ants. The masked man immediately gathered his power, turning his tattered umbrella into a weapon filled with blades, and easily took them down one by one. Then, hovering in midair, he launched the decisive blow named Unbreaker. A loud boom rang out, and the final beast was completely defeated. The man introduced himself as Injin, a passing janitor. Rudo then fainted from exhaustion. In his delirium, memories of Uncle Regto returned, that every object, if genuinely cherished and cared for by humans, will eventually house a soul inside. When he woke up, the kid realized he was chained by Injin and being dragged along dragging an ox cart, no less. He shouted out, demanding to learn how to use power like him and find a way back to heaven to avenge Uncle Regto, but Injin only coldly replied that all those things were just fantasies. And he would show him the reality of the abyss. After saying that, he threw the boy into a small trash dump between giant cliffs. Immediately after Injin left, a group of strangers appeared. Looking at the clothes Rudo was wearing, they quickly realized he was someone from heaven. They immediately approached, tied him up, and stuffed him into a vehicle. Turns out, they were human traffickers from the abyss. Historically, they only ever collected corpses. This was the first time they had seen a survivor. The people here absolutely despise heaven because that bunch dumps trash rampantly, making the environment so polluted it's unlivable. Their goal was to sell Rudo so people could freely torture and beat him to vent their anger. Just as they were about to act, the power in Rudo's gloves erupted again. A stream of dark red light enveloped his entire body. He easily broke free from the restraints, turned the surrounding scrap into weapons, and beat the traffickers to a pulp. From a distance, Injin observed everything and couldn't help but be amazed by that immense power. According to him, people with the ability to grant life and power to objects are called givers. And Rudo is one of them. When Rudo lost control and was about to kill the leader, Injin appeared just in time to stop him. It was all just a test. He offered Rudo an invitation to join the janitors, but the boy firmly refused. Episode 3. Injin's teammates also received news that he had just picked up a genius kid possessing giver powers. That refers to the smiley kid Rudo. As for Rudo, he is now being treated in a private clinic deep in a small alley. The doctor is trying to treat him while Rudo keeps screaming, adamantly refusing to join the janitors. By the way, looking at this doctor's face, you'd think it's a man, right? Surprisingly, it's a woman. I'd personally give up on this director's character design style. After finishing up, Injin took Rudo to eat to regain his strength. The smiley kid was quite surprised at this point. He thought the abyss was just garbage piled up over his head. Who knew there would be towns, eateries, and daily life? It was no different from heaven. Afterwards, Injin started a beginner's class about the underworld for him. He explained that trash accumulated over a long time here generates a type of energy called thought, vitality. This stuff is extremely dangerous and is the origin of the trash beasts. Trash beasts cannot be destroyed by ordinary weapons. But if an item is cherished and treasured by its owner for a long time, like a writer's pen or a chef's knife, it will generate a soul called Jinki. Only Jinki containing thought can destroy trash beasts. People with the ability to awaken and control Jinki are called givers. And they are extremely rare. The janitors that Injin belongs to is a group of givers specializing in destroying those trash beasts. That is also why he wants Rudo to join them. Rudo's Jinki is the pair of gloves, the gift Uncle Regto gave him in childhood. Because he always cherished and carried them with him for years, they produced Jinki. After the conversation ended, before Rudo could even finish saying thank you, Injin threw a bag of money at him. Sigh, all the money for treatment and food came from him selling Rudo's clothes. Hearing this, the boy was totally shocked, looking like he wanted to tear the guy apart. Before he could calm down, some god-forsaken cat snatched the money bag and ran off. Rudo chased after it and accidentally stole a staff from a stranger to catch the cat. The result was that before he could explain, the other guy kicked him away and snatched back the staff in his hand. Rudo then realized the opponent was also a member of the janitors, and the thing he held was a jinki named Abo. His name is Zanka Nijiku, belonging to the Akuta squad, a subdivision of the janitors. He was called by Injin to guide the new recruit, but because he mistook Rudo for a thief, he attacked immediately. Rudo remembered Regto's words: "If you want others to listen to you, first you must know how to yield a step and listen to them first." Therefore he didn't resist, only gently apologized. Seeing that, Zanka also calmed down, realized it was all a misunderstanding, and apologized in return. To make peace, Rudo flashed a friendly smile. But honestly, watching this part one laughed until I fainted. This guy's smiling face really makes you want to punch him, everyone. So Zanka misunderstood, thinking he was being mocked, and the two of them started yelling at each other again. During the arguments, Zanka accidentally touched a nerve regarding Rudo's revenge, causing both to decide to use their jinki to settle the score. Zanka had the upper hand and easily knocked Rudo down, but the moment he realized the smiley kid's weapon was a toilet plunger, the guy turned pale and ran away. What kind of filthy game are you playing, dude? Truly, one doesn't fear a strong enemy, only a smelly one. After a tense chase, Zanka was hit by Rudo's combo of fecal bullets. When Injin arrived, he could only laugh seeing the two of them creating a chaotic scene that was impossible to handle. And so the whole group boarded the car to head to the janitor, HQ, along with a newly appearing female character on the car, as cute as anyone, named Rio. Episode 4. The group finally set foot in the janitor headquarters. There, Rudo was welcomed by the receptionist Simu, who possesses a jinki that is a pair of glasses, enhancing her ability to observe movement and see through the true nature of people. To join the team, Rudo had to pass Simu's capability assessment. When looking deep inside him, she was momentarily stunned and confused, then only said vaguely that Rudo is a rare talent with extraordinary physical strength and extremely high jinki compatibility. With training, he would surely become a formidable opponent. Injin seemed to sense something unusual, but before he could ask, he dragged Rudo off to wash up to prepare for his introduction to everyone. The janitors consist of combat, defense, and support units, totaling about 100 members, but they are usually scattered across areas, so the HQ is always empty. Thinking there would be few people today, surprisingly, as soon as the door opened, a whole group of rough-looking guys stared back. It felt too scary, so he ran straight to meet the boss first for safety. Before entering the room, Injin warned Rudo that no matter what, he shouldn't ask nonsense about going to heaven. Here, all information is very important, especially matters related to the boss's jinki, because for a giver, power depends on the jinki. Losing it makes one no different from an ordinary person. Injin also said if Rudo wants to know how to return to heaven, he should ask to work here. In return, he will be provided with information. The boss is a man of his word and possesses power superior to anyone in the HQ, so one must be extremely careful when speaking. Warned so carefully, yet when he opened the door he saw no one. The boss is on a business trip and won't be back for a long time, making the kid scared to death for nothing. Since he isn't officially a member yet, Rudo will now tag along as an apprentice. Through Simu's narration, the underworld is divided into two areas: the safe zone where humans can live, and the pollution zone covered by trash and home to trash beasts. Where Rudo fell was a forbidden zone, the most dangerous area within the pollution zone. So far, 6 forbidden zones have been discovered, places where even givers struggle to go and return in one piece. It can be said that Rudo meeting Injin and returning alive is a miracle, because when entering a forbidden zone, everyone must wear a gas mask. If not, 15 minutes is the limit before it's game over. Rudo also started his first mission as an apprentice along with Rio. The smiley kid also got to interact with the support squad, people who don't have jinki but possess incredibly superior physical strength. Flocks of small and then larger trash beasts continuously rushed to smash the fence, making Rudo tremble before their ferocity. Looks like they're throwing a welcome party for Rudo tonight. She said if you want to live in the underworld, the first thing is to keep calm in every situation. But the joy didn't last long. A giant monster, 100 times larger than the previous ones, appeared and destroyed the defense line. The teams immediately entered combat mode. Rio's jinki is a pair of butcher scissors that allows her to control them with her feet, easily taking down the trash beast in just one blow. While Rudo was still stunned, another one suddenly ambushed them. The guys from the support squad appeared in time, blocking it with just one hand and then throwing it to Rio to finish off, demonstrating the janitor's perfect coordination. When Rio rushed up to fight the giant monster, another trash beast suddenly stood up to attack her teammate. Rudo immediately rushed in to block the blow, and in that moment, the latent power of the gloves erupted again, turning the iron bar in his hand into a steel fence to stop it. Rio quickly finished it off, resolving the danger for the whole team. The battle seemed over, but the huge monster still refused to fall. After a series of vertical attacks shaking the ground, Rudo almost fell into a pit but was saved in time by a support brother. Finally, Rio discovered the monster's weak point and delivered a critical punch, defeating it. When the dust settled, everyone was shocked to realize that the monster was born from a Junkyard, truth that left the whole squad stunned and speechless. Somewhere else, in an abandoned house, the smuggler from earlier woke up alongside a mysterious stranger. Episode 5. After the grueling battle, the group finally returned to HQ to hold a lavish party welcoming Rudo's official arrival in the underworld. While everyone celebrated, Injin and Simu didn't forget their duty. They quickly went to the scene, where the monster with the Jinky core was to investigate. The atmosphere in the hall was filled with laughter, the sound of clinking glasses, and the smell of delicious food. Everyone was happily relaxing after days of tiring combat. However, amidst that jubilation, the party's main character, Rudo, sat huddled in a corner, his eyes heavy with sadness. He blamed himself for not being able to do anything in the recent battle. His power was still uncontrollable, and because of that, Rio and the support team had to risk their lives to save him from death. The person from the support squad who timely saved Rudo back then was Grease, a man possessing superior muscular strength. Seeing Rudo depressed, Grease sat down beside him and gently patted his shoulder. He didn't scold him but just smiled encouragingly. Because only Rudo respected the support squad. Since they aren't givers, they are often looked down upon. Grease's voice was warm and decisive. He believed that as soon as Rudo understood what he truly wanted to protect, at that moment, he would find a way to control his own Jinky's power. When Injin returned after the investigation, the group's spirit was lifted high again. The party became more lively than ever. Music played, lights spun, and contributing to that enthusiastic atmosphere, a street artist who was also a giver began performing vivid paintings, breathing soul into the memorable night. That night, laughter echoed throughout the HQ, and although no one said it aloud, everyone understood that from that moment, Rudo had truly become a part of the janitors. The mysterious man who appeared in the previous episode finally revealed his face and acted. He coldly and brutally tortured a human trafficker to extract all information related to Rudo, the one he seemed to have been hunting for a long time. The next morning, at the janitor HQ, Simu received an urgent mission: destroy a trash beast rampaging in the wasteland and rescue a person from heaven who had been captured by it. This mission was led by Zanka, the wielder of the strongest Jinky. In the team, along with the support squad and Rudo, Injin couldn't participate because he was busy with another mission. The group set off across the scorching sands of the wasteland and arrived at a deserted town. On the way, the atmosphere was lively. Someone kept teasing Grease because he brought a protective amulet into battle. This guy is playing the spiritual system now. A strange girl suddenly appeared behind them, introducing herself as the one who assigned the mission to the janitors. Without suspicion, the group let her lead the way to an abandoned building, supposedly the trash beast's lair. But as soon as they stepped inside, the group was stunned to realize no one had been kidnapped. In the middle of the room, there was only a doll sitting silently on a chair. In that moment, the ground beneath their feet turned soft and mushy, turning into mud, causing the whole group to fall to the deepest floor of the building. That was when the truth was exposed. They had fallen into the trap of a group called the Vandals, a gang that used to be just petty thieves. But recently, they became brutal and involved in mysterious experiments. More terrifyingly, all of them are givers. The support squad quickly retreated with Rudo to call for backup, while Zanka stayed to confront the two enemies in front of him. A woman whose Jinky is a shovel, capable of summoning mud golems, and a bald guy using Qigong along with ski boots that allow him to glide over any terrain. A fierce battle broke out, but with experience and peak situational reading ability, Zanka quickly grasped the attack patterns of the two. With just one finishing move, he eliminated them in the blink of an eye. Thinking the danger had passed, just as Zanka turned around, a chilling murderous aura suddenly surged from behind. The mysterious figure hunting Rudo from the start finally appeared. Rudo's group reached the emergency exit. They needed to go up to signal for help because it was too deep down here for the signal to catch. But before they could do anything, the mysterious man ran over and destroyed the group's escape route. He was also part of the vandals. Zanka had also been knocked unconscious by the poison from his jinki. Just as that guy was about to grab Rudo, the support squad desperately rushed up to stop him. However, as non-givers, they were nothing but flies before his overwhelming power. In a split second, his claw-shaped jinki pierced through Grease right in front of Rudo's eyes. Blood splattered everywhere, and Grease's protective amulet fell down. Stained red, that moment made Rudo freeze. His mind briefly flashed back to the past with Uncle Recto, who once tried to help him find meaning in life. When he was small, Rudo used to self-harm because he didn't know what he existed for. Uncle Recto tried every way to make him care about the world, but Rudo still found no interest in anything. Until one day, walking past a dump where rich people threw away broken items, he saw an old mask. Not understanding why, he ran over, hugged it, and burst into tears. Perhaps because he saw himself in it, someone abandoned, needed by no one. Returning to reality, the power from the gloves surged once again, causing the amulet he held to become a jinki. Grease also realized that Rudo's power isn't transforming things he touches into jinki, but rather bringing out the maximum value of the things he touches. Thanks to Grease's advice from days ago, Rudo can now calmly control the jinki's power. The mysterious man smiled sinisterly and introduced himself. "My name is Jabber Wonager." Immediately after, the battle between Rudo and Jabber officially began, and it was truly a one-sided fight in the literal sense. The jinki from the amulet. Rudo helped him perfectly dodge an attack. Jabber jumped high, kicking up dust to blind him, and rushed in to slash, but the result was the same. A knockout punch without taking a single hit, but Jabber is no ordinary opponent. After a series of beatings, he also realized the weakness in Rudo's power. His jinki only reacts to attacks with killing intent. A twisted smile bloomed on his bloodied face. Jabber raised the hand bearing the jinki Makaira, with claws containing potent poison, and injected the poison into his own body. He injected himself to render himself unconscious and attack madly in a trance state. This guy is crazy, no different from the smiley kid Rudo. And then the real battle of the two hackers officially began. Now Jabber Wonager has completely lost consciousness. He roared, frantically attacking Rudo without rest. The smiley kid truly fell into a difficult situation, having to withstand his fierce attacks while keeping distance so as not to affect Grease, who was lying heavily injured on the other side. Rudo's jinki could no longer react to the unconscious attacks from Jabber. When he lunged, his claws only inches from Rudo's face, seeming as if the fatal blow had landed. Zanka suddenly appeared. He threw his staff to suppress the attack, blocking the strike and saving Rudo by a hair's breadth. Zanka, despite being poisoned and exhausted, had managed to observe the entire development from afar. He realized Rudo's jinki power was extremely special, but in a battle with an unconscious opponent like Jabber, that ability was nearly useless. The two quickly discussed a bold tactic. Zanka would launch a direct attack on Rudo so the amulet jinki would react, repelling the force to launch Zanka towards Jabber for a counterattack. Rudo trembled hearing this because if there was a mistake, he would take a full jinki hit from Zanka and he probably wouldn't survive. But Jabber had stood up, there was no time to hesitate. Zanka rushed in swinging his staff. The amulet in. Rudo's hand immediately reacted, flinging Zanka straight at Jabber, landing a staff smash right on his head. The blow was so strong that even Rudo shuddered. Taking that hit directly would surely mean death. This tactic was incredibly effective. The two coordinated so smoothly that Jabber was knocked from the floor to the ceiling, then from the ceiling smashed back down to the ground. After a continuous chain of staff strikes and counterattacks, the crazy monster finally lay motionless under a pile of rubble. But the joy didn't last long. Rudo's amulet jinki suddenly disintegrated into dust, quietly floating away before his shocked eyes. Rudo stood stunned, then knelt down, painfully realizing he had just lost Grease's precious keepsake. He clenched his fists, blaming himself for failing to protect both the person and the object. And then, due to a scratch containing poison from Jabber's claw, Rudo also collapsed right after. Jabber at this moment stumbled to his feet. Turns out his left claw, if used in a light dose, acts as a temporary painkiller. Immediately after, he gave Zanka another dose of poison, rendering him completely immobile, then carried Rudo on his shoulder to leave. Just as he jumped to the upper part of the building, he realized this place was also surrounded. Waiting on the roof were Rio, Injin, and the main members of the janitors. Unable to react, Jabber immediately took a thunderous hit from Injin and was sent flying far away. Injin quickly understood why they arrived late. Zanka's group was located too deep underground, making the distress signal impossible to catch. Jabber, despite being surrounded, showed no fear. He roared, preparing to rush in to reclaim Rudo when another person appeared. It was his teammate. Tony. The guy stopped Jabber and whispered something, then both retreated through a hole in the wall. Before leaving, Jabber also revealed that Rudo's gloves are a series. Everything finally came to a temporary close. Grease was treated, but his wounds were extremely critical. Rudo, after waking up, bowed his head apologizing to him for losing the protective amulet. Grease only smiled weakly and didn't scold him at all, simply saying, "It's okay, Rudo, you did very well." After returning to HQ, Rudo fell into an extremely bad mood. Once again, he failed to protect his benefactor. Before it was his foster father, now it's Brother Grease. Brother and Jin tried to comfort him, but that wasn't enough for the smiley kid to cast aside the guilt in his heart. However, when he walked into the hospital room, Rudo was stunned. Mr. Grease was still alive, even cheerfully greeting him. Engine's group laughed like they'd had a bumper crop because they had completely fooled him. Joking about life and death like that, honestly, I have no words for this bunch. The person with the biggest credit for saving Grease is Ayatiga, giver belonging to the support squad and a man of very few words. After this incident, everyone not only has to continue destroying trash beasts, but also prepare to face the vandals. The atmosphere in the team gradually returned to being cheerful, thanks to Grease's recovery. Corvette, the captain of the janitors, also appeared. Initially, he didn't intend to accept Rudo, thinking he only joined for personal goals. But after observing for a while, Corvette acknowledged Rudo's power, heart, and the way he risked himself for his teammates. And so Rudo officially became a member of the janitors. Immediately after, Corvette took him upstairs to receive his uniform and information about the boundary, the place the vandals are targeting. He said the boundary lies between the abyss and heaven. Anyone who steps foot there will die instantly. However, there is a rumor. At the boundary, there exists a girl who has lived for a very long time. A traveler once met with misfortune and was saved by her. When asked why she was in this place, she replied, "I am watching those who fall from the sky. There are people who can go up and down and still live." That means she has met someone who can freely travel between the two worlds without dying. Corvette believes that if he reaches the boundary, Rudo can find the reason why he survived the fall to the abyss and the way to return to heaven. Hearing this, Rudo was impatient to leave immediately. But Corvette stopped him because everyone needed to prepare carefully. That place is a forbidden zone, extremely dangerous. Going without preparation is no different from suicide. Not to mention, the vandals are still active. While resting, Rudo was taken by Rio to tour the HQ and try some candy. This treat is something only the nobility in heaven has, yet here it is abundant. Turns out, a group of givers with the ability to create food made them, despite the polluted environment. The smiley kid, seeing candy, stuffed his mouth full as if he'd never eaten before. Then the group started training Rudo to use Jinki. But when he held a new knife, the power didn't activate. Using his analytical ability, Zanka realized Rudo's power only reacts to broken trash. True enough, when touching trash, his power erupted, turning them into Jinki. Rudo could turn 3 items into Jinki consecutively, but immediately after, he coughed up blood. The cause was the thought in the gloves being too strong. Thought accumulates over time in cherished items. The older it is, the greater the thought, and his body couldn't handle absorbing it. As for the disintegration of the amulet, when a discarded item has its power fully exploited by Rudo, it will self-destruct as if feeling satisfied for having been useful to life. It's like terminal lucidity. Meanwhile, at the Vandals' hideout, their leader also bears a series mark just like Rudo. Episode 9. It's 4 a.m. and I'm still recording. And this guy just finished washing his gloves. Rudo walked out and discovered Rio lying sprawled on his bed. Sneaking into a guy's room early in the morning, truly shameless. Turns out Rio was eavesdropping. The reason was the scar on his hand, a sequela left by his biological father, which hurts every time he takes off the gloves. It throbs with numbing pain. Knowing this, Rio just sighed softly and climbed out the window back to her room, leaving Rudo staring blankly. In his heart, he still thought he was about to sleep with a girl. The next morning, the plan to go to the Forbidden Zone was postponed, because they had to wait for a special full-face mask to be made for Rudo. The person in charge of this task is an eccentric engineer specializing in crafting gear for the entire HQ. He is very talented, but only works when he feels like it. Anyone who rushes him gets yelled at immediately. So they just have to wait. While waiting, the group decided to go get protective amulets. Because the Forbidden Zone is an extremely dangerous place, just a slip-up could cost a life. The destination this time is Graffiti City, the town of Kanvac, home of the talented talisman artist Guida. And so, after a long journey, the team officially arrived at Graffiti City. Cities in the underworld are all built with dome architecture to avoid trash falling from heaven. There have been tragic deaths just because trash fell from the sky. Kanvac town is protected by a special barrier. Anyone with evil intentions cannot step inside. This place is also called the City of Art because paintings are everywhere. Artists can freely realize their ideas here. Guita is a giver who can use his power to cast spells by using his will to protect and realizing it. The barrier outside the city was also created by him. But unfortunately, the mayor here informed the group that Guida had just passed away early this morning. The cause was said to be body pollution from painting engrossedly in the Forbidden Zones without wearing a mask. Everyone, including Rudo, deeply mourned a man full of ambition, freedom, and strength like Guida. Guida's jinky was passed down to Remlin Tishak, a little girl sobbing in the corner of the room, whom he personally chose as his successor. And we also learned that a person only needs the aptitude to be a giver. They don't need to cherish an item for a long time. As long as there is jinky, they can immediately use it and become a giver. Having cried enough, little Remlin immediately stood up, snatched the brush, and ran straight to the rooftop. A stream of creative energy appeared when she used the jinky, and then a beautiful firework display bloomed in the sky as a final farewell to the fate of a talented but short-lived artist like Guida. You guys should watch the movie directly to experience it. This scene is very beautiful and touching. Now it's Remlin's turn to officially paint amulets for the team. Just starting, and Rudo's face is already frozen like summer. Thought the little girl would paint gently. Who knew she'd turn the brush into a tattoo machine, making everyone sweat? Don't know if she intends to give an unforgettable tattoo or a lifelong curse. Just kidding a bit. Finally, all 9 members of the team were fully amuleted. Regarding the criteria for choosing Guida's successor, the movie explains carefully in episode 10. Those who have time can check it out themselves. Because I listened and didn't understand anything either. The characters in the movie are confusing enough, let alone me. 2 people who couldn't enter Kanvac town originally came here to vie for the succession from Guida but failed. After being scolded by the mayor, both also left. The group said goodbye to the mayor and Remlin, then returned to HQ. Before returning, Injin stopped by an abandoned trash dump for the smiley kid to freely choose items to bring back as jinky. Upon arrival, the team was welcomed by the screaming of the crazy engineer Vuga. Turns out Rudo's full-face mask had been completed. A hilarious detail is that Vuga once sneaked into Rudo's room while he was sleeping to measure his face directly for the perfect size. I don't understand why Rudo sleeps without locking the door. Luckily, the old man only measured his face. If he measured somewhere else, his life would be over. And even more surprisingly, Artie, the shy nurse, is actually Vuga's younger sister. After everything was completed, the group began preparing to depart. Before leaving, each person dripped a drop of blood onto Rudo's necklace. It turns out the necklace the team wears is a communication device that allows contact between those who have exchanged blood. The result was that Rudo had to donate blood for 8 people. At this rate, he'll die of anemia. Oh my god, the group set off towards the Pen of Forbidden Zone, a vast dead desert. Their mission was to destroy trash beasts and find the mysterious girl holding the secret mentioned in the rumors. The general cleanup officially began. Hey, let me tell you, Rudo's new mask looks absolutely stunning. At the same time, the vandals were also secretly acting, heading towards the Penna Desert to steal something. The janitors started the battle with a swarm of giant scorpion trash beasts. Thanks to their smooth coordination, they quickly dodged attacks, counterattacked, and took down the first one. Another swarm rushed in to surround Zenka, but with just one blow from Injin, the whole herd was wiped out, leaving only one for Rudo to perform on. In the middle of the desert, the mysterious girl seemed to sense something as well. Rudo used his gloves to attach a glowing line of text onto the scorpion's body, and then finished it off. In the haze, Rudo caught a glimpse of a girl's silhouette. He thought his eyes were playing tricks on him, but then she walked forward, appearing clearly before his eyes. The girl called herself Amo. The whole group was amazed because no one could sense her presence even though she was very close. Amo introduced herself as the girl from the rumors. The one who had met someone who could travel up and down between heaven and the underworld. Although still suspicious of her identity, the group decided to follow Amo to her home to ask questions. However, as soon as the scene shifted, Injin suddenly collapsed before anyone could react, accompanied by Amo's creepy smile. Episode 11. Time rewound to 3 p.m. when the group was following Amo to her house. Everyone was astonished that amidst the desolate desert of the Forbidden Zone, a giant building had sprouted up. Amo led them to a private room and asked everyone to take off their masks because there was no toxic gas here, and partly for politeness. When Rudo asked about the person who could travel between heaven and the underworld, Amo suddenly shifted the topic to love, laughing, and talking nonsense, leaving the group looking at each other in confusion. Injin lost patience and bluntly said, "I don't like you." Amo burst into manic laughter that made everyone's hair stand on end. Injin coldly added, "At least dress properly." That sentence was like lighting a fuse. A strange energy emitted from Amo's feet, causing the floor to shake. Rudo immediately realized she was a giver, and the boots Amo was wearing were of the same series as his jinky. Suddenly, Rio attacked from behind, causing Injin to collapse. Before the group could understand what was happening, she stood in front of Amo as if protecting her. Amo continued to talk nonchalantly about love, indifferent to the chaos around her. Zanka got angry and told Amo straight to her face, "You are ugly." And immediately, Amo went truly mad. Rio once again attacked her teammates using her jinky to manipulate the fluid in the opponent's body, capable of turning the opponent into a water balloon and exploding at any moment. Even worse, Amo revealed that there was another traitor hiding in the group, shaking the team's trust. Rudo fell into hallucinations and got lost in painful past memories. Zanka was almost finished off by Rio if Tamsi hadn't pulled him back in time. Rio, losing faith in her teammates, fought recklessly alone, and Zanka lost his life when hit by a water attack, causing part of the building to explode. Meanwhile, Rudo was still trapped in the illusion, facing heaven's apostles created by Amo. The truth gradually came to light. The scent from Amo's jinky was the cause. It causes the inhaler to fall into hallucinations, reliving their happiest moments with the people they love. Those controlled by the illusion often mistake Amo for their loved one and protect her. Only Tamsi and Zenka remained sane enough to put their masks back on, facing Amo and their manipulated teammates. At this moment, Tamsi decided to get serious. He would activate his jinky, even if it meant having to attack his own teammates. Episode 12. Tamsi immediately activated his jinky, Toxfer. Threads shot out, tightly binding all the teammates being manipulated by Amo. Every time someone struggled, the threads tightened, sending pain throughout their bodies as if tearing their skin. Realizing the pain wasn't enough to wake them up, and knowing if he continued he might hurt everyone, Tamsi changed tactics. He gathered all the threads, rolling them into a tightly bound bundle, trapping the whole group in a giant thread cocoon. Then, with a decisive movement, he threw the final thread, wrapping it tightly around Amo, and lifting her into midair. Hey, this girl is revealing too much. Anyone under 18 shouldn't watch this episode. Injin was still unconscious at this time, but was luckily protected by Tamsi putting a mask on him in time, avoiding the influence of Amo's scent. Rudo was also safe because he had worn his mask beforehand so he wasn't affected. Suspended in midair, Amo began to scream, pretending to ask for help. The teammates bound in threads, though unable to move, still tried to struggle to escape, causing blood to splatter as the threads cut into their flesh. With no other choice, Tamsi made a bold decision. He threw the giant thread cocoon straight through dozens of floors, causing it to fall straight down to the main hall. The powerful impact severely injured the group, and it seemed they might lose their lives. Amo laughed insanely and mocked. Is this your trust in teammates? Ready to kill each other just to end a battle? But no one expected that Tamsi had calculated beforehand. Thanks to the protective amulets Remlin painted for them in Kandak town, although the group was injured, no one died. Injin also suddenly appeared behind Amo. Turns out he had just been playing dead all this time and was fine. Meanwhile, at the janitor HQ, the boss also began to suspect when seeing Simu's worried face, forcing her to reveal the truth about what exists inside Rudo. Injin had by now grabbed one of Amo's shoes and found it smelled terrible. Sniffing. People's shoes is pretty smart, huh? The group also learned the truth that with only one shoe left, Amo could no longer control anyone. Thereby, the whole group was released from the hallucinations. When waking up amidst the rubble, those who just regained consciousness were shocked to realize that the loved ones who came back to life just now were only illusions created by Amo. This was a cruel act that made their hearts both painful and humiliated. After regrouping, the team put their masks back on and spoke directly to her to get information about the person traveling between heaven and the underworld. But before they could even get to the main point, Rudo walked towards Amo and punched her in the face relentlessly, without mercy. At the same time, at HQ, Simu also said that back then, when looking inside the smiley kid, she saw something very scary growing, something that could destroy the whole world. It was like a curse. Injin also understood Rudo's emotions somewhat, so he stopped him and pulled him outside to talk. But how to get information now? He knocked the girl unconscious. Look at that guilty face of his. So short-sighted, truly short-sighted. Tamsi will give first aid to Amo while Injin takes Rudo outside to calm him down. After the talk with Injin, Rudo regained his composure and went back inside to apologize to Amo for his impulsive action. Amo, after being treated, also received an apology from Tamsi, so the first 12 episodes of Gachiakuta have ended. The movie is still being updated. And for now, thank you everyone for watching today's video. Goodbye. See you in the next video.